What's growing on, gardeners? Summer is over, our first fall frost is imminent, and before we know it, we will be buying seeds for next year. On today's video, I'm going to show you the 10 best warm weather crops you must grow for explosive results and huge harvests next year. My goal with this video is to take you around what's left of my summer vegetable garden and show you the strongest survivors and performers to help you make smart seed selections for next year so you can grow the most productive vegetable garden possible. Grab your notepad, write down these varieties, and add them to the list of seeds to buy this fall and winter for next spring. These plants are absolute beasts.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check out my Amazon store and Spreadshop links in the video description for everything I use in my garden and awesome custom apparel and gear.
Let's get one thing clear. Not all plants are equal. If you're grabbing whatever seed is stocked at seed stands or whatever transplants are available at big box stores, you are leaving big harvests on the table. Breeders are doing incredible things these days with seeds. Here where I live on the southeastern coast of North Carolina, our climate is brutal. The winters are too cold, summer's too hot, humidity is extreme, we receive monsoonal rain in the summer, have extreme pressure of insects and fungal diseases. Here, only the strongest plants survive. Over the years, I have tested literally hundreds of different varieties of seeds to find the strongest, most productive, and best tasting varieties out there. And that is what I'm going to share with you. Growing these varieties will take the productivity and toughness of your garden to the next level. And as a convenience to you, I will place links to the seed varieties I'm mentioning in this video down in the video description. I am standing in what's left of my summer vegetable garden. Most of these plants were planted in late March, early April. It is now late September, nearly October. 6 months ago, this entire area was flourishing with hundreds of tomato, pepper, cucumber, squash, eggplant, melon, and basil plants. After 6 months of punishing heat, humidity, pests, diseases, and rainfall, almost all of the plants are dead, except these incredible standout varieties. The first three crops that I'm going to feature in this video are all tomatoes, and they are the varieties Carmelo, Big Beef Plus, and Celebrity Plus. Here where I live on the southeastern coast of North Carolina, we have one of the wettest summer climates in all of the United States. It is extremely rare that tomatoes can tolerate the extreme sunshine, the extreme heat, the extreme humidity, and the extreme rainfall. Typically, all of our tomatoes die at some point in July, with some of the toughest ones maybe lasting until early August. So it is extremely rare that tomatoes can live all the way until frost if you plant them in late March, early April. That is what makes these varieties so incredible. They are some of the toughest plants, tomato plants, I have ever grown. As a point of reference, back in April, this entire raised garden bed right here was full of tomato plants. As you can see, there are none remaining. This raised garden bed right here was full of tomato plants, and there is half a plant, 1.5 plants remaining. And this raised garden bed right here was full of tomatoes, and there are 4 plants remaining. Of the 4 plants in this bed, they are 2 Carmelos and 2 Big Beefs. They are both indeterminate varieties, and the performance is absolutely insane. First of all, each of these tomato plants are over 12 feet tall. They are growing into the roof, and they continue to grow into the roof. And now that the temperatures have cooled back down, they are flowering and fruiting again. In fact, there is fruit set all over these tomatoes. Look at them all. There are just clusters of fruits everywhere. And what you're seeing right here is all of the Carmelo tomato. I mean, just absolutely beautiful, flowering and fruiting, flowering and fruiting. These are the 2 Carmelo tomato plants that have effectively weaved themselves into a giant tomato jungle. Here is the front of my garden right here. These are the Carmelo tomato plants. Again, they are setting big clusters of fruit. So hopefully we will have enough time to ripen the fruit, but the fact that they have lived this long is nothing short of astounding. Then on this side is the Big Beef Plus plants. They have woven themselves into basically a giant net. And as you can see, they are still setting fruit and flowering profusely as well. There are some fruits up there. I mean, they are just kicking butt. So if you are looking for the 2 toughest indeterminate tomato plants, they have been Big Beef Plus, and Carmelo. And luckily, the fruit is absolutely delicious and crack and split resistant. These fruits are awesome. The third variety is going to come as a surprise to some, and that is Celebrity Plus. Now, Celebrity Plus is marketed as a determinate tomato, and as you can see, this one seems to have not gotten the memo because it keeps growing indeterminately. It's about 12 feet tall. Now, Celebrity is probably more accurately a semi-determinate tomato, not a true determinate, and it will keep growing and producing indeterminately if you keep it pruned and you allow it to keep flowering and you keep the healthy suckers and you let it grow and grow and grow. As you can see, I've had to have removed a lot of the diseased leaves over the course of the year, but I let it grow into multiple main stems and it just doesn't want to quit. Now, you may have noticed that this variety is not flowering and fruiting like the others, but that's because this variety is basically relegated to the back of my raised garden beds, and the shade cloth was proving to be too much for it once we got into early September. So once I removed it, the plant started producing flowers again, but it's probably flowering a little bit too late at this point in the year. Whereas these other tomato varieties were able to grow into the sun and kind of avoid some of the shade cloth, which was proving too much to them. It's not because these are necessarily superior varieties to Celebrity, it is just because they were able to get a whole lot more sun when the sun was starting to weaken in late summer. So that goes to show you how important it is to balance shade and sun when it comes to things like tomato plants. Standout crops numbers 4 and 5 are both peppers, and I have one sweet pepper and one hot pepper for you. The sweet pepper is Red Impact, and the hot pepper is Blazing Banana, which is a banana pepper. I'm a big fan of eating bell peppers, but not a big fan of growing them. That's because I've never found them to be particularly productive. You spend all year growing a plant that sets 4 to 6 bell peppers, and honestly, the ones that you get in the grocery stores, they're, 75 cents a piece, and generally speaking, they're better quality than what I can tend to grow anyway. So for that reason, I've always grown non-bell varieties, trying to find something similar that was more productive and could bridge the gap. That's where I found Red Impact. Red Impact is a bell type pepper, but it's not a bell pepper. You could substitute it 1 for 1 and it grows absolutely incredibly. It makes huge bell-like peppers, although they're a little bit longer, and this, believe it or not, is only about half the size they will get to. They will get to be a lot larger. In fact, this plant was twice the size yesterday, but I hit it with my lawnmower and I accidentally broke off a piece right there. This thing was stacked yesterday. I would confidently call this variety better than bell peppers. So if you want to grow bell peppers but you struggle to grow them, or you just find them unproductive like I do, these Red Impact peppers right here are the answer to that problem. My favorite type of peppers to grow in my garden are the banana types. They come in both sweet and hot, and they are so vigorous, they are so fast fruiting, and they mature so quickly. The abundance that you get off of banana peppers are absolutely fantastic. And when it comes to the hot banana peppers, this Blazing Banana variety takes the cake. Look at these things. No matter what you do, these banana peppers, they just spill out everywhere. That's 2 plants right there, and look at that amount of abundance. I just planted out this fall garden bed of warm weather crops about a month ago, and of course the very first thing to fruit underneath was the Blazing Banana hot pepper. There are a ton of them in there already. But if you're not a fan of hot peppers and you want a sweet banana, this sweet roaster variety, well, that does pretty well too. It's not quite as productive as the hot peppers, but this one is a really good sweet substitute. Now on to crop number 6. We're going to cover my favorite cucumber variety, and that is Merlin. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I have been on a cucumber hunting tear the last 5 years. I have scoured the entire internet, trying dozens of varieties to find the best cucumbers out there. And the one that I've been stuck on for a couple of years now is Merlin. I've never seen anything like it. It is a naturally parthenocarpic, ganaceous variety, which means it has a natural genetic mutation that only produces female flowers, and it holds all of the fruit without pollination. That means you can grow this in a greenhouse or underneath insect netting, and you'll never have to worry about cucumber beetles or any other pests. You'll never have to worry about pickle worms and all of these wonderful fruits that you see on this plant. As long as it's not too disgustingly hot and humid, they will form into mature fruits without pollination. Yes, once things get well into the 90s and the heat stress builds, it is possible that some of the flowers will abort and you'll get spotty fruit production, but if you put shade cloth over them, it goes miles to influence the plant and keep it productive. And since cucumber plants only germinate in about 3 or 4 days, well, every 4 to 6 weeks you can just plant out new plants and keep the cucumber train going. I plant 4 to 5 waves of this Merlin variety throughout the year, and I just get so many cucumbers I barely know what to do with them all. The 7th must-grow crop is the most incredible zucchini variety I have ever grown, and that is Dunja. This variety has it all. It has insane vigor. It produces huge vines, huge plants, big flowers. It is incredibly productive, and it is the most disease-resistant variety I've ever grown. I have not had any powdery mildew, any downy mildew, any disease problems at all. I planted several plants out in my garden in April of this year, and the production was just off the charts, and the fruit was delicious. Very tender, very sweet, excellent quality zucchini. But this zucchini variety has a very special property that I haven't been able to find in any other variety of zucchini, and that is partial parthenocarpy. Some of the flowers and fruits on this unique variety will hold in the absence of pollination. So that means you can grow them underneath insect netting indefinitely, so you can keep all of the vine borers and all of the squash bugs off your plants, and even if you don't hand pollinate, you will still get partial fruit set. Yes, if you hand pollinate, you'll get a much better harvest. They will grow and pollinate more out in the open as well, but then you'll eventually lose them to squash bugs and vine borers. So this is a great compromise variety if you have an issue with squash bugs and vine borers, but you don't feel like consistently hand pollinating. You'll still get a crop even under insect netting. I just made a video of this fairly recently, and I strongly recommend you watch that. I'll link to it above and down in the video description, because it is a must-watch and a game-changing variety. That beautiful zucchini was formed in absence of pollinator insects. It looks like this zucchini right here and that zucchini right there is going to hold. And then I have a second plant over here that is flowering and producing baby zucchinis like crazy as well. So this is a game-changing variety that allows you to grow it underneath insect netting. Crops 8 and 9 are small-fruited, very fast-maturing melons, the Kajari melon and the honey rock cantaloupe. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not personally a big fan of growing melons because I find them to be difficult to grow for the fruit quality that you get. And by that I mean, I find a lot of melons are fairly bland and not exciting, and because they take so much time to grow. Your watermelons, your cantaloupes, your honeydews, they're large, they need a long time to hang on the vines, and they're so susceptible to pests and diseases that it can be downright tricky to keep them alive long enough to get good quality fruit. So if you live in a place with very short summers where it's persistently cool and you don't have enough heat to grow melons, or you live in a place like I do in the southeast where you get a ton of fungal diseases and a ton of insect pests, and it's difficult to keep the vines alive long enough for the fruits to mature, these melons are the solution to your problem. And they often tend to be sweeter and more delicious than most melons that I've grown and tried. So no matter how you slice it, pun intended, these are very awesome melons that you should consider growing because their ease make them a lot more fun to grow. And it'll add a very interesting flair to your garden because these are unique melons. You've probably never seen anything like these before. This extremely vigorous vine that you see right here is the Kajari melon. This is a melon that I discovered probably about 5 years ago or so. I'll link to a video both above and down in the video description that gives you a detailed guide on growing it, but these are incredibly interesting fruits. They taste like a super sweet honeydew. They're green inside. They almost taste like a cross between a cantaloupe and a honeydew. And because they are so small, they mature quickly. So I have a fruit here, and I have another fruit here, and there are other little baby fruits that are forming all along this vine. So even though we're going to get frost in about 5 weeks or so, these are going to have enough time to mature more than likely because they're so vigorous. These little fruits will probably be mature in only about 3 to 4 weeks. They blow up quickly and they are a fast harvesting fruit. These vines that you see right here is a small fruited cantaloupe called honey rock. And what I love about the honey rock cantaloupe is it is a personal sized cantaloupe. I usually don't like growing or buying cantaloupes because they're too big. I just don't like them enough to have all this fruit lying around. But this fruit only gets to be about a pound to maybe 2 pounds tops. So because of that, you can eat it yourself, or you could split it in half and share it with your spouse or a friend or what have you. So you don't get too much cantaloupe off of the vine. And because they ripen so quickly, you don't have to worry about long days to maturity. This pumps out fruit quickly and it ripens quickly. So if you live in a very pest and disease prone climate, or you have short summers where you struggle to ripen more heat intensive melons, this is the answer to your problem. This is the only cantaloupe that I've been continuously growing year after year. And crop number 10 that you must grow in your garden next year is a revolutionary new line of basil called Prospera. Specifically, this is the variety Prospera Italian Largeleaf. This is without a doubt the greatest basil I have ever grown. The Prospera line of basil is the first line of basil that has been bred to have a high genetic resistance to downy mildew, which is a major killer of basil plants in places with hot, wet summer climates. Typically here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina, all of my basil gets wiped out from mid to late August into September because the intense dew points and the relative humidity and the rainfall spreads the fungal disease like wildfire. But no more. Not with Prospera. This has such high resistance, it keeps pumping out insane amounts of basil, and now I have so much basil I don't know what to do with it all. But what's awesome about Prospera is we aren't limited to just one variety. This is an entire lineup of basil that all have the natural high genetic resistance to downy mildew. Yes, you can grow the Italian largeleaf that I'm growing right here, but they also have the standard Genovese Italian that we're used to. They have semi-compact and compact varieties that will stay dwarfing for growing in containers or indoors. They have a purple basil that I'm growing all over my yard and garden. They have a Thai basil. No matter what kind of basil you are looking for, if you want the genetic resistance to downy mildew, the Prospera line has it. And as an added bonus, this is a very bolt-resistant lineup of basil. In fact, these are the only basil plants I've ever grown that haven't bolted on me in any significance. So if you have issues with basil bolting, this is the lineup for you. In fact, so impressed am I with this basil line, I just made a video all about them. I'll link to that video both above and down in the video description for your convenience. It's very much worth your time watching. I don't think I will ever grow any other kind of basil in my garden again after witnessing and experiencing these awesome plants. And just for fun, I'm going to give you 2 bonus varieties to make things an even dozen. Bonus plant number 1 is the Dwarf Emerald Giant tomato. This is a Dwarf Tomato Project tomato variety, but did you know that dwarf tomatoes can grow to be over 10 feet tall? Well, they can. That is Dwarf Emerald Giant. Now, I love the Dwarf Tomato Project selections, but I find that their lack of vigor caused them to be the first tomatoes to succumb to pests and diseases in my garden. That is where Dwarf Emerald Giant breaks the mold. Look at this. This tomato plant is 6 months old, it's 10 feet tall, it has very little to no disease on the new foliage, and it's actually producing new flowers. It probably won't be able to fruit for me anymore because the season is drawing at a close, but if you want the toughest of the Dwarf Tomato Project varieties, it's got to be Dwarf Emerald Giant. Look at that beast right there. And bonus plant number 2 is a novelty pepper plant. For you pepper heads out there, if you want to have your face melted off, try the Chocolate Trinidad Scorpion pepper plant. Did you know that you can have a pepper plant grow 8 feet tall? Well, you can. This thing is the most pest and disease resistant variety because who would actually want to bite into this thing? Most humans don't want to get anywhere near it. Now, the downside of this plant is because it is so tropical and the fruits are so hot, it does take a long growing season for it to really produce a big crop. In fact, here we are in late September. It's really taken this long in my very hot, humid climate for it to get to this size. So if you have short summers, I'm sorry to say you probably can't grow it in ground. You may need to grow it in a pot or give it a head start in a greenhouse, but let me tell you, the productivity on this thing is nuts. Look at all of the peppers on this plant. This is craziness. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them all because they're kind of too hot to eat, but there are just dozens and dozens and dozens of them on this branch alone. Absolute madness. So if you're a pepper geek, you're a pepperhead, you love having your face melted off, or you just want to grow something fun, or just something that's a beautiful ornamental, try these because, man, is this a vigorous, disease-resistant, beautiful, beautiful plant. And that right there are my 10, possibly 12, best varieties of warm season vegetables that I have grown in my yard and garden that you must grow next year for the most explosively productive garden you have ever grown. Every single one of these varieties I am growing next year, bar none, without a doubt, because they are some of the best I've ever grown, the best I've grown to date. So I just wanted to share them with you all since before we know it, it'll be time to buy seeds. You have to add these varieties to your list. Now, I know there was a lot of information in this video, so if you have any questions about these varieties or you want more details, ask them down in the comments below. I also linked to some more specific videos about the more unique varieties that I mentioned in this video down in the video description. I also placed direct links to all of the seeds in this video that I featured for your convenience as well. So everybody, I sure hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so you're notified when I release more videos like these, and please share it with your family and friends. Get the word out, spread the good news about gardening. For everything that I use in my yard and garden in real life, if you're interested, I have all the stuff I use linked down in my Amazon storefront, so expand the video description, click on the Amazon storefront link, and you'll see all of the products I use in my yard and garden in real life. And while you're down there, please consider checking out my spread shop for custom merch if you want to support my channel. I just released a whole bunch of custom homemade designs. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video.
Well, it's box breakdown day, and one of the boxes I had to break down was Dale's monthly toy box. I don't know what this thing is, but Dale definitely is interested. You want this, buddy? How do you know that that's your toy? How do you know? Come on, get it. Get it. Get that toy. Oh, you found the squeaker. You found the squeaker. Dale, you have too many toys, buddy. They are everywhere. This is an embarrassment of riches. Give me that squeaker. Give me that. All right, ready? I have to give you more room to catch here. Nice catch, buddy. Very, very good. Very good.